Joe, here was Joe Biden from today calling for social media to censor his political enemies?
If you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it. Personal choice impacts us all, our hospitals, our countries. I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
Disinformation and misinformation. Joe, you mean like the vaccine stops the spread?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this just shows that Joe Biden and the mainstream media will continue to push this narrative, even when it's basically been, in their own words, debunked. They can't prove it with science, as Dr. Fauci likes to scream. So they're just going to use the tools of big tech, which we know they work hand in hand with. So this points to several different things. I was just accused yesterday of spreading disinformation. Washington State has some administrative codes that allow the Bureau of Health to establish quarantine camps and then to use law enforcement to forcibly put people into quarantine. This is Washington State Admin Code. You can look it up. Our Board of Health was convening to discuss this. So my campaign, we held a protest outside, and we got them to stop discussing this specific administrative code. The Seattle Times accused me of spreading disinformation. We're accused of this all the time. This just speaks to the fight that we're up against. And another huge reason why we have to dismantle big tech and seize them as a public utility, because they have far too much control over all of our lives.
Love it. Joe, obviously you were a Green Beret, so that's about as good as it gets. U.S. Army today, they've just announced they're increasing their enlistment bonus to $50,000 because they can't get people in. I've been extremely worried about this for a long time. As the military goes radical left, we're just going to have a soft purge of good people not joining. That type A 18-year-old man is going to go do something else, and he's not going to go try to follow in Joe Kent's footsteps.
Yeah, I'll tell you honestly, the hardest discussions I have right now on the campaign trail, for me personally, is when I get young men and even some young women that come up to me and they say, hey, I grew up watching the global war on terror on TV, and I want to be a Green Beret, I want to be a Navy SEAL, I want to be a U.S. Marine, I want to be a fighter pilot. But should I join right now? And prior to this last year, I've always encouraged young people to join the military. I think it's a fantastic thing to do. But right now, the way that our great young men and women, our patriots, are being treated, between the vaccine mandates, between the partisan witch hunt, which has been going on for a year now, the so-called extremist stand down, which has really resulted in them catching zero extremists, all of that right now, I can't in good conscience, and this is painful for me to say, I can't in good conscience tell young men and young women to go join the military. And obviously the recruiting numbers and what the Army is trying to do to boost their numbers reflects just that. We're not getting good patriotic people to join the military. And if we can't get good people to step forward to defend the country, then we are on the cusp of losing our country.
Joe, what are your Green Beret brethren saying who are still in about all this woke nonsense?
Talking to the guys on the inside, they're feeling incredibly, marginalized. These are the war fighters that really have had the global war on terror on their backs for the last 2 decades. These are guys with multiple combat deployments. And in the last year, literally, I could read you text messages from my friend. They said, hey, this year began with me being told that I was some form of a white supremacist or extremist because of my political beliefs that I expressed in my private time in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So I was accused of being an extremist. And then a bunch of them went and they had to do the disastrous Afghan withdrawal. They watched us lose 13 great service members on the way out. They went through the anguish of us leaving Americans on the field of battle and then leaving Afghanistan in disgrace, only to return home and be told, you will take the vaccine or we will kick you out of the military, regardless of what you did in your service prior to this. So these are guys, like I said, with multiple combat deployments right now. So the morale is low. Guys are bitter, great war fighters that we need to stay in and help shepherd the next generation of warriors through the ranks. They're getting out in massive numbers. The military in the next 2 years is just going to hemorrhage out all this hard-earned, hard-fought talent that we have right now after 2 decades of war.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.